Alright, welcome back to the channel. Today we've got our 5 best bets for college basketball here on December 21st here on Saturday. Of course, there's a lot of college basketball today. There's a lot of college football today, but of course, we are bringing you our 5 best bets throughout this entire college basketball slate. We're going to start with some games, some mid-major games, not, the biggest games of the day, but we will finish out and close the video with some of the marquee matchups on the college basketball schedule, the games on ESPN, the games between the powerhouses, as you can see right now on the screen, of course, UNC versus UCLA, Ohio State versus Kentucky, all at Madison Square Garden in New York City. So we'll get to those. Of course, we've got some best bets on those games coming up. And real quick, before we start the video, guys, I need to update the ban list. And trust me, this is coming very soon. We will probably tomorrow or the day after, I will update the full ban list. So again, if you haven't been watching, the teams on the ban list are the New Orleans Pelicans, La Tech football, Jacksonville State basketball, USD basketball, and High Point University basketball. We are adding DePaul. 100% DePaul is getting added to this, as well as West Michigan. I gotta get it off my chest, whatever the hell happened yesterday in the West Michigan Valpo basketball game. I'm not mad with the West Michigan pick. I think in hindsight, I think it was a really good pick, picking West Michigan. Guys, let's just look over the summary of what happened in this basketball game. So basically, Friday morning game. I'll be honest with you guys, I was tired. I didn't get up until I woke up like midway through the first half. I saw that Western Michigan was up by 10, 15 points. I went back to bed. I checked the Ohio Jack State game. I saw Ohio was up. I was good. I wake up again to watch the end of the Ohio Jack State game, and I see with 5 minutes left, Western Michigan's up by 10 points against Valpo. They had already let Valpo go on a 12-2 run. They were up by 20 points with about 8 minutes left in this basketball game. Anyways, just look at what happens in this game. We're going to go to the play-by-play of how Western Michigan decides to lose this basketball game, okay? Let's look right here. 6-minute mark, okay? The score is 52-69 for the West Michigan Broncos. They're up. Chancey Willis hits a layup here. 71-52. And just watch how this lead dwindles and then dwindles. It's down to 6 points with 3 minutes left. They get it back to 8, though, with 2 minutes to go right here. 2 minutes to go. Leads back to 8. What happens? They foul a 3-point shooter. So he hits all 3 free throws, okay? West Michigan misses a layup. Valpo gets the ball back, 3-pointer, 2-point game. Great, okay? West Michigan gets the ball back, though, right? Misses a 3-pointer, offensive rebound. The guy gets fouled on the rebound, loose ball foul. What happens? They get 2 free throws. Guy is a 80% free throw shooter. Max Burden, he misses both free throws. Valpo goes down the court, makes a layup. West Michigan gets the ball back. Chancey Willis misses a layup. Okay, Valpo gets the ball back, misses a 3. Western Michigan's got the ball. They can run out the clock and take the last shot to win the game, tie game. I think it was Willis, drives in, kicks to the corner. They shoot a 3 with 5 seconds to go, leaving time on the clock. There was no shot clock anymore. They missed the 3. Valpo gets the rebound, shoots a half quarter, wins the basketball game. The Western Michigan Broncos are permanently banned forever. Anyways, our NBA predictions are on the channel in an hour. Again, early start times for all these videos. Weekends, of course, on the weekdays, 9 a.m., 10 a.m., obviously, for college basketball, and then NBA. Weekends, 8 a.m., 9 a.m. Just got to get things out, of course, because most of the college basketball games start at 9 here on the weekends. Also, go make sure to check out our NFL predictions. They were posted on the channel a couple days ago. Our college football predictions. The Indiana Notre Dame game didn't go our way. It's okay. But the rest of the predictions are up. SMU plays Penn State in an hour. I'm taking SMU. Okay? Give me Southern Methodist. Here's the rest of the bowl schedule. Again, for our predictions, if you want to see again, Christmas Eve will be the next rendition of our college football playoffs bowl predictions. So all those, and of course, our NFL predictions are also going to be on the channel on Christmas Eve as well, because there's no NBA and no college basketball on the 24th. Okay, the first bet here of the video, we go to Stony Brook versus Maine. I know what you're thinking. Great matchups today, and we're starting with this game. I know, a 10 a.m. game on ESPN+. There is value in this basketball game, all right? There were other games I was looking at, but this is one of the ones I thought was the best, and we were going to see another 10 a.m. basketball game with two mid-majors pitted against each other. Actually, I don't even think this game's on ESPN+. I don't know where you can watch this basketball game between Stony Brook and Maine, okay? To be honest with you guys, that game starting for me right now in 6 hours. I'm recording this at 4 in the morning. I am. Oh my goodness. I'm not going to bed till 6. Oh, this is great. Anyways, give me Maine on the road here. I don't think the Seawolves are that good. You look at the line that we're getting, and again, there's a lot of games on Saturday, so this is where we try to find somewhat of mispriced basketball games, because literally, again, almost every team is playing today for the most part in college basketball, so there's a bunch of lines, and we try to find games again that the books missed. I was thinking of taking Memphis against Mississippi State just because the game is in Memphis, but I don't really trust Memphis to win against an SEC school. Memphis has been very up and down this season, so I sided with this one for our early game here, and we have another early game in a second. But I do like the Maine Black Bears here. Maine's 8-5 this season, and yes, they go on the road to play Stony Brook here, but the thing is, they've won back-to-back road games, right? They're coming off back-to-back road victories against Duquesne, who I understand has underperformed this season, but still, Duquesne and Canisius, back-to-back victories. They win both those games by 5 points. They're getting 3.5 in this basketball game against Stony Brook. I'd make the case Stony Brook is worse than Duquesne. Canisius, maybe, but definitely, again, I think the Stony Brook team is worse than Duquesne. Maine's losses this season at Fordham, at UPenn, at Richmond, at Quinnipiac, but again, if they hadn't won these back-to-back road games against Duquesne and Canisius, I wouldn't feel great about picking them in this basketball game. But since, again, they've gone on the road in back-to-back outings and won both those games by 5 points, so they've covered this line against, their two previous opponents, and now they get Stony Brook, I feel okay taking the Black Bears in the spot. For the Stony Brook Seawolves, this is a 3-8 basketball team this season. Their wins on the road against Central Michigan, which is just a weird victory, but the Chippewas have really underperformed all season long. At Rider, they win the game by 17 points, but it's Rider, and their other victory is over Division II/NIAA school, St. Joe's LI. What the heck? Long Island has a St. Joe's, really? Wow. Stony Brook, though, they've lost to some pretty mid teams this season. They've got losses against good teams like Marquette, Norfolk State. Shout out legacy cover Brian Moore, 2 free throws at the end of the game yesterday against Grambling State. I thought Norfolk State was about to be banned like Western Michigan, but shout out to our guy, the best player in that conference, in the MEAC. Shout out to Brian Moore. He's going to win all conference, and he's going to be the best player, and he's going to win MVP of that conference this season. He's going to take Norfolk State to the NCAA tournament this season. Regardless, Stony Brook loses to Norfolk State. They lose to the Air Force, who, again, if you've been watching, you know Air Force is not that good this season. They lost to Long Island, and trust me, we're going to get to Long Island in about a couple minutes here. Stony Brook's also lost to Yale, Columbia, Brown, Marist in their last basketball game. They are led by 2 primary scorers. We're talking about Joe Octave and CJ Luster II. Those are by far their 2 best guys. For the Black Bears, this is a team that is led currently by AJ Lopez, who's averaging 14 points a game. Quinyon Burns averaging 13 as well, and Kellen Tynes are their 3 best guys. Tynes, the point guard. Burns, one of their bigger guards who will go there and secure rebounds as well. And AJ Lopez, just really their best scorer as a whole. I do think Maine's the better basketball team. I think, again, I have newfound confidence in this Black Bears team going on the road because of their last 2 victories, again, beating Duquesne and beating Canisius. You get 17 points in both those games by both Kellen Tynes in one of them and Quinyon Burns in the other. And these are games, again, AJ Lopez really isn't even getting going all that much. So add on, again, AJ Lopez, who is due to have a big night, and they go on the road to Stony Brook. I feel fine about the Maine Black Bears winning this basketball game. First off, I don't think Stony Brook's that good. I think Maine's better. And on top of that, Maine has shown that they can win on the road. And Stony Brook's coming off of home losses to Norfolk State and Marist. Everything kind of feels like the Black Bears of Maine should win this basketball game. Give me Maine to win and give me the Black Bears to cover the 3.5 points as well. We stick with small school basketball, and then we're going to get to some big games to close out the video. First, though, let's go to Lee versus Long Island University. I'm taking the underdogs in this basketball game. We have gone with the Sharks quite a bit this season since, again, they upset the Air Force earlier this year. We haven't been the most successful at Long Island, but we have cashed on them earlier this season when they were, I believe, like 14.5 point dogs going to UMass Lowell, and they only lost the game by 7 points. It was a game that the Sharks were very competitive in. Since then, for Long Island, they have not played their best ball, going to Missouri, losing the game by over 20 points, and then losing their last game at home against Mount St. Mary's. But now they host the Patriot League's own in Lee. I don't think the Mountain Hawks are that good, guys. Lee has got really 2 wins all season long. Marist and Monmouth, both at home for the Mountain Hawks. Their only other win other than that's an NIA victory over Valley Forge. Their losses at Northwestern, at Georgetown. Again, not bad losses at all, but then at Columbia loss, at UCLA expected, at St. Francis, PA, they lose by 10 points. They lose to Dayton in their last game by about 30 points. This just isn't that good of a lead team. And again, I get some flashbacks, obviously, last year watching the Patriot League, and Lee was one of the teams that I'd watch quite a bit because they'd always get that 3 p.m/6 p.m. start time on the East Coast, especially when they played teams like Army. I just don't think the Mountain Hawks are that good. They are a one-man team. They are Keith Higgins Jr., and that is about it. Higgins does everything for the Mountain Hawks. This is a guy who averages 18 points a game, 5 rebounds. Keith Higgins is the entire team. He is the senior out of West Hills, California, who has played all of his collegiate ball here with the Mountain Hawks. Long Island is just the all-around better team, and they are not just one guy. I know, again, Malachi Davis does carry the load at points for this team, but you got guys like Jamal Fuller, you got Terrell Strickland, you've got Brent Davis, you've got other guys in the starting lineup that do support Malachi Davis. For the Mountain Hawks, there is Tyler Whitney Sidney, but other than him, it's really just, again, it's Higgins and then it's Sidney, who are really the only, game changers and impact players on this Lee Mountain Hawks team. And we've seen Long Island, again, play decent basketball this season in spots where they have been underdogs. Hell, the Charlotte victory, they go on the road to North Carolina, win the game by 3 points in a game where Davis puts up 31. Again, it's really just all dependent on if Malachi Davis can show up and just, again, explode in some of these basketball games, because he's more than capable of doing so, right? And every single win that they've had, given it's only, 2 against D1 schools, Davis has exploded and had huge nights. And I feel like, again, we're going to see that against a Lee team that is pretty low scoring. Again, other than Keith Higgins, this is a very low scoring Lee team. That's really just how the Patriot League plays as a whole, I understand. But if Long Island can take advantage of that, they should be able to win the basketball game. I do like the LIU Sharks to win at home. We do get plus money here. We get plus 3.5 here. Plus 4.5 for Long Island. Even better. If you want to take the spread, take it. If you're feeling, again, like you want to sprinkle on the money line, go ahead. I don't mind both. I really don't. I think, again, if Long Island does lose this game, it's going to be by that very short margin, to the point where, again, 4.5 feels like it should cash. So, again, use your own discretion on what you want to pick. I don't mind both of them. Give me the LIU Sharks to win the basketball game at home here against the Patriot League's own in the Lee Mountain Hawks. Let's go on now to the big games today, and obviously this might be the biggest game. UNC versus UCLA here in Madison Square Garden on CBS at noon, and we are going with the Dogs. Give me the Tar Heels. They're so due. They are incredibly due. I know they lost to Florida, but that might have been the best basketball game I have seen the Tar Heels play all year long. I'm serious. They should have had that one. They just let it slip through. RJ Davis finally had an elite game this year, right? Davis is averaging 19 points a game. I think, again, the only other game I can think of at the top of my head that I've seen RJ Davis look that good was the Dayton game, and they were able to win that game in Maui, right? It was the first game they played in Hawaii before they lost to both Auburn and Michigan State after. But when RJ Davis has huge nights, North Carolina finds ways to win. That's what happened in the Dayton game, and sure, again, they didn't win the Florida game, which kind of contradicts my statement, but that's an undefeated Florida Gators team. I get it. We were on the wrong side of that pick. I thought, again, the Tar Heels were going to be the first team to beat the Gators all year long. Unfortunately, they let that game slip away, and they didn't even cover in that game. It's fine. It's going to happen. I don't think they lose back-to-back spots here. I really don't think they do. UCLA is not impressive to me. They're just not. This is a 10-1 team. They went on the road and beat Oregon. Whoop-de-doo. Right? Good for them. I don't think Oregon's a bad team. I think, again, UCLA just played a very good basketball game. Arizona victory. Arizona's not as good as we thought they were at the beginning of the year. UCLA won a defensive battle and won the game 57-54 again against the Arizona Wildcats. They beat UW. Don't care. Now, again, whenever I bet against the Washington Huskies, they shoot lights out. Osabor can get to the line at will. Osabor never misses a shot, and then all of their perimeter guys make every single shot they take from beyond the arc. It's weird. But trust me, I don't think the Huskies are all that good. So again, when I see games like UCLA beating Washington by 11 points, it pisses me off because every time I bet against the Huskies, they look unstoppable, Regardless, I still don't think UW's that great. Other than those victories, though, against Arizona, Oregon, and Washington, who has UCLA played and looked all that great against? They beat BU, they beat Lee, they beat Idaho State, Cal State Fullerton, Southern Utah. They're coming off a big victory over Prairie View A&M, right? They lost to New Mexico earlier this season, who ended up losing to the New Mexico State Aggies later in the season as well. Again, I know you can make that case about pretty much every single team, but I do also just think talent-wise, UNC's better. I think UNC's just faced some really tough teams. Guys, you want to look at North Carolina's record. Oh, they're 6-5 this season. All right, who have they lost to? At the time, they lose to number 1 Kansas. Number 4 Auburn. Michigan State, a tough team they lose to in overtime. Number 10 Alabama, and number 7 and undefeated the Florida Gators out the SEC. They've played 3 SEC schools this year. A lot of people think Auburn's the best team in college basketball right now, right? It's either them or Tennessee right now. You can't really make a case for anybody else, I'd say. And Bama's played good basketball this season. Kansas is always going to be good, obviously. It's just, and yeah, Michigan State. But Michigan State's a tough out, and they lost the game in overtime in Maui on the third night of a back-to-back-to-back. Like, it's just, I don't think UNC's that bad of a team. Again, we just saw RJ Davis play his best game all year long. He had 29-8 in that game against the Gators. I do think RJ Davis has another big night. I think UNC does come through in this spot. Again, I've been waiting for the Tar Heels to finally look like the team they're supposed to be. I think, again, they have just fallen victim to playing a really difficult schedule to start the season. And now you look at what they have down the stretch, right? To start off 2025, actually to close 2024, they play the Campbell Camels. They should blow them out. Then when you go to 2025, go to Louisville. Winnable game, yes, tough game, but winnable game. To Notre Dame, easy work. At home against SMU, light work. At NC State, not the same team as last year. DJ Burns is gone. They should win that game. Cal, easy money. Stanford, easy money. At Wake, should be able to win. At home against BC, should be able to win. At Pitt, should be able to win. This team should not lose a game till February. I'm serious. They go to Duke February 1st. I don't feel great about it. And then February 10th, they go to Clemson. I don't feel great about it. But seriously, UNC, and I'm including this game against the 18th ranked school in the country in the UCLA Bruins, they should not lose another game until February 1st. That's what should happen to UNC here. Will it happen? I don't know. But again, I've seen this team. They beat Georgia Tech. They found a way to win that basketball game. And again, it's an RJ Davis thing. If RJ Davis can continue to play at the level like he has in big games like the Florida game, like when they beat Dayton by 2 points in Maui, I'd expect UNC to keep this up. Give me the Tar Heels to win this game here at Madison Square Garden over the UCLA Bruins. Next up, we move on to another big game. Keeping it at Madison Square Garden at MSG, we have the Kentucky Wildcats taking on the Ohio State Buckeyes. I know I skipped over Purdue and Auburn. I don't want to touch it. I obviously think Auburn wins the basketball game in Alabama, but 9.5 points. If I had to give you a lean, I would lean Auburn, but I'd personally stay away from it. I don't love the odds there. I just don't. Again, I'd lean Auburn to cover the 9.5. I definitely think the Wildcats win, but that's a tough game. Purdue could stick around. I would lean Auburn, but I'm not going to include it in the video. We'll go to Kentucky versus Ohio State. I think it's a really easy play on Kentucky here. I know we haven't featured Kentucky since their loss on the road at Clemson earlier this season, but since then, what have they done? They beat the number 7 team in the country, Gonzaga. They beat Colgate, and they beat Louisville by 8 points. This is partially a Kentucky pick, and partially we don't really like Ohio State this season pick. I don't think the Buckeyes are that good. I don't think it's a hot take. I think Ohio State's bottom half of the Big Ten this season. Again, I think that goes without saying. Obviously, again, we say the bottom of this conference right now is by far Minnesota. Then you look at Washington potentially. And then you look at, SC's not that great. And then you look at Indiana. Like, those are the bottom teams in Ohio State. Those are the bottom of the barrel teams in the Big Ten this season, right? I mean, you've seen what Ohio State has done this season in Big Ten play, right? Lose at Maryland, they beat Rutgers. They blow out Rutgers, but Rutgers on the road, whatever. Who gives a damn, right? I mean, Ohio State's victories. Texas, when at the beginning of the season was great, right? Then they lose to A&M on the road. It is what it is. They lose to Pitt at home. Or I think that was a neutral site. I think that was a neutral site. No, Pitt went to Columbus and won the basketball game in overtime. They lose to Maryland on the road by 30 points. They lose to Auburn, and they beat Valpo. I mean, you know, it is what it is. A shout out to like the 30 of you guys in the comments yesterday who had Valpo winning. It's what it is. Game is game, I guess. It's a team led by Devin Royal. Royal's been playing some pretty good basketball recently. He's been carrying the load for this team. Him and Bruce Thornton have been really good. Thornton, again, is this team's second leading scorer. He leads the team in assists, and for Devin Royal, again, this is their leading scorer and their leading rebounder as well. But I just like the Kentucky Wildcats more. Again, yes, a loss against Clemson isn't great, but this game, again, neutral site, I feel like Kentucky's better. They've got wins over Duke this season. They beat Louisville. I know, again, the strength of the schedule isn't the greatest, but the Duke win still, again, it sticks out. Oweh's a really good player, averaging 16 points. You got Lamont Butler, who's averaging 15, Jackson Robinson, Kobe Brea, Andrew Carr. There's a lot of solid guys in this Kentucky team, more than what Ohio State's going to offer, which, again, they do have some supporting roles, some supporting cast guys, but it really just feels like Devin Royal and Bruce Thornton. Like, really, again, those feel like the only impact players on this Buckeyes team. And Ohio State's just been too inconsistent this season. They've lost to teams that, again, are not on the level of Kentucky this year. Sure, again, A&M and Auburn, good teams. Auburn, obviously, much better than Texas A&M. But losing by that much to Maryland, losing to Pitt, it's just, you can't have that. And now you're going to take on an elite team here in the Southeastern Conference in Kentucky, another elite SEC team, a team that, again, will put it on you. I know Kentucky only beat Louisville by 8 points, but, like, would you take Louisville or Ohio State in the game right now? Probably take Louisville. I know it doesn't always work like that, but I do think, again, Kentucky should be able to get out to a big lead early and then just not look back. Give me the Kentucky Wildcats to control this basketball game at the Garden and win it fairly easily, covering the 8.5 points and obviously winning it outright as well. Give me the Wildcats to beat the Buckeyes here in our fourth best bet of the video. Going on to our final best bet, we move on to the SAP Center, to San Jose, California. Technically a neutral site game, but essentially a home game for the Stanford Cardinal. They are calling this the Bay Area Classic. Now, I think, there are 2 games to this. There's also Cal taking on San Diego State. How much are tickets to this? I'm genuinely curious. I'm probably not going to go because I'd rather watch the college football playoffs, but how much is this? Let me load up my app real quick. Hold on, let's see. How much are they charging for this? $50 to go to this? Guys, there's going to be nobody at this. If they're charging $50, trust me, I go to San Jose Sharks games quite a bit. I went the other night when San Jose lost to the Colorado Avalanche. By the way, the Sharks choke all the time if you watch hockey. Regardless, I just was at the SAP Center a couple days ago. And this is what I've noticed about San Jose Sharks games. I got in the building for $14, right? I sat in a seat that, normally, that was empty, obviously it was unsold, but the ushers didn't check us. Normally sells for $85, right? I paid $14 to get in the building, and I just snuck my way down, obviously. I mean, we had, first row in the upper deck, right? I mean, there's only 2 stories here, or 2 decks here at the SAP Center, so it's pretty easy, it's pretty good seat to watch a hockey game, obviously, right? But that seat sells for $87. And I don't know if this is a problem around the country. I'm sure it is, but it is. I know for a fact it is here in the Bay Area that just people are getting outpriced to these games. Like Sharks games, again, yes, you can get into the, and I'm sure it's not the entire problem the Sharks have with the Tens. Obviously, their team sucks, right? We saw Mackenzie Blackwood, who's now on the Avalanche, beat the Sharks in his return to San Jose. But regardless, the guy they just traded earlier this month, I'm not a Sharks fan. I just keep up with this team. Regardless, the get-in price is $14, sure, but someone's got to buy the face value tickets for $89 in the first row of the upper deck. Those go unfilled, obviously. And the same thing is going to happen to this Bay Area Classic that has Oregon playing Stanford and the later game being California playing San Diego State. I'm going to stay away from Cal and San Diego State, and instead I'll give you a pick for Oregon and Stanford. There is no home court advantage for this basketball game for Stanford. The only home court advantage they get is that Oregon had to travel 6 hours down south to the Bay Area. No, 8 hours down south to the Bay Area. Regardless, they took a plane, it doesn't matter. There's going to be no home court advantage for Stanford because nobody cares about basketball here in the Bay Area. At least college basketball, nobody gives a damn. They don't care. I've been to Stanford games. Nobody shows up. There's no students at the games because I guess the Stanford students are too good for that. And then, the Stanford faithful isn't a thing for basketball, obviously. Maybe it'll improve when ACC play starts, but probably not, right? We're going to see Louisville walk into Stanford. We'll see Duke walk. I know Duke doesn't come here this season, but we're going to see some of these ACC schools walk into Palo Alto, and nobody will be at the basketball game. It'll be really weird. Regardless, we like the Oregon Ducks to beat Stanford. Stanford sucks, guys. Bay Area basketball just in general is not very good. Stanford, San Francisco, Cal, San Jose State, Santa Clara, St. Mary's. Those teams just aren't that good, guys. Like, seriously, the best team out that bunch is probably the Gales of St. Mary's, and I don't think they're the best, but I do think they are the best out that bunch, and probably second is actually Stanford. But still, and that's bad, because Stanford's not good. They lost to Cal Poly this season. Yes, St. Louis Obispo, Cal Poly, the Mustangs, beat Stanford this season in Palo Alto. They've won 3 straight games. Utah Valley, Cal, got that one wrong, my bad. And then Merrimack, who they beat by 6 points. Told you Merrimack was going to cover that basketball game. What's Oregon going to do to this team? Used to be a Pac-12 game. Obviously now this is ACC versus Big Ten. Oregon's only lost this season, UCLA. That's a fluke. Okay, that's all that is. Oregon has beat good teams time in and time out this season. They beat an Oregon State team in Corvallis. Not a bad win. They beat Texas A&M. They beat Alabama. They go to SC, and I know USC's been very underwhelming in the season, but they go to SC and win the basketball game in a game that they were trailing by 10 points at halftime. Oregon is not that horrible, and they're much better than the Stanford Cardinal. I've watched Stanford time in and time out this season. I've seen them in person. This is a one-man team. It's Maxime Reynaud, and that's it. If you have a guy who can shut down Maxime Reynaud, Stanford is screwed because everything runs through him. Oh, Oregon's got a perfect guy to shut down Maxime Reynaud. It's Nate Bill. Bill's the leading scorer on Oregon. He's their leading rebound getter. He's their best defensive guy. He averages 2 blocks a game. I know it's not crazy impressive, but still, he should be able to shut down the future NBA prospect here in Reynaud. And once you take Reynaud out the basketball game, Stanford can't shoot, they can't score, they can't do anything. Again, take away Reynaud, what do they have? Jalen Blakes, Uzziah Sellers, Ryan Argrawal, Benny Geeler, no. Chizamak Para, no. It's a one-man squad, and Oregon has the exact way to stop Stanford. Nate Biddle will take away Maxime Reynaud in this basketball game, and the Cardinal are screwed in the Shark Tank. It's going to be Oregon to win the basketball game at the SAP Center. They will win it outright, and obviously they will cover the 5.5 points against the Stanford Cardinal as well. So folks, thank y'all for watching our 5 best bets for college basketball here on December 21st. If you have not yet though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to comment. If you do disagree with any of the picks, folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.